Okay. This is Bill Dwyer. I'm account manager here at GinnieNET. Apologize for my delinquency by being late, but I again had trouble logging in. Thank you everybody for your time this morning. This is the second of a series of trainings we're going to have. So appreciate everybody's time this morning. And everybody's busy. So let me just turn it over to Ryan Lockhart, if that's okay, Ryan, Ryan being our meeting host and our tech support troubleshooting guru.
Thank you, Ryan. Hey, and good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. And want to thank you for joining us again. That means, I don't know if it's torture, but I'm glad you're with us. And I hope this session, you'll be able to learn something new about SFPDM that will help you when you actually start using the tool, or maybe you're currently using it. My name is Wade Gill. I work for BNY Mellon, and working with me today is going to be Toeed Ali. In this section, we're going to actually introduce the first part of the session, and we're going to introduce SFPDM to you, and then we'll go there. You're going to see some recordings that we did to actually give you a better understanding of the SFPDM experience. So that's something hope you're looking forward to. So part of our agenda, introduction to single family pool delivery module. Instead of us calling it that, we just call it SFPDM. We're going to go through the new pool processing module. We're going to do demo. And of course, at the end, we're going to talk about GinnieNET in terms of certification module, because your own custodian at this point are still using GinnieNET to do the certification. So we just want to give the issuer just an insight what happens in their world in terms of the process. Okay, and some of you might have already seen this slide. Just want to introduce some of the features and benefits of SFPDM. We're going for transparency in pool submission. Transparent views of the pool submission process from submission to issuance, include an interactive graphic timeline of the pool status. A lot of times in GinnieNET, you see that the pool is submitted, you see that the pool is certified by the custodian, but you don't know what happens after. You'd have to call us. So we're trying to present that to you as part of the process, the whole SFPDM experience. Enhanced pool search and sort capability, including search and filter features on the multiple data elements. You're going to see that we have some of that in the presentation. We have also some of that in our demo. Intuitive user interaction design, user-friendly design with understandable edit rules and an error message. We're going to just give you a little bit of the dashboard experience, tell you what it's about, provide the customized glance of the overview of your issuer pool based on your user role and privilege, and quick access link to view relevant HUD forms like the 11705 and the 11706. And in terms of operational improvement to pool processing, multiple pools and loan action now available on one screen. Add loans to a pool without having to process entire submission. Pool summary header with issuer custodian contact, last updated by, and other useful data. And new reporting capabilities to save time for monthly pool reporting. So some of those things we're going for greater transparency, intuitive UI, and operational improvement. And I hope as we go through the process today, you'll see that, hey, I can work with this system. Seems like it's a little bit, it's going to be high level than how GinnieNET is set up right now. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Toeed. And Toeed, it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Wade. And good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Toeed, and I'll go ahead and start speaking on the new enhancements that were recently deployed to SFPDM. We're calling it 4.5 release. And in that release, we had some major introductions to a couple of pool types, starting with our extended term. It's a custom pool type, for short, custom ET. So what is it? It's a GinnieNET 2 program custom pool type that must be comprised exclusively of loans modified pursuant to the ensuring or guaranteeing agency requirements that have terms greater than or equal to 361 months, but are not more than 480 months. So greater than 30 to up to 40 years. Next, we have the custom RG, short for reperforming loans, or also known as reperforming GinnieNET pool. And then what is it? It's also a GinnieNET 2 custom pool, and it must be composed of exclusively of reperforming loans. So this is basically very similar to a CSF pool as far as pooling goes, with minor adjustments where you have the loans must be only reperforming. And finally, we have digital collaterals. Also, we call it eNotes. Digital collateral program, this launched in July 2020. It's starting with developing and implementing the policy and the technology, and also operational capabilities necessary to accept electronic promissory notes and also other digitalized loan files for collateral for GinnieNET securities. And some of the benefits to this is streamlining the workflow and improving the tracking and management of delivery for closing documents. This also decreases the time a loan takes to close and to securitize. It reduces data errors and it improves data validation. So, and there's some additional benefits that you can go over, but these were three major introductions to 4.5, and then we have additional minor enhancements that were also put in to SFPDM, and we'll go through them during the demo. They're highlighted there. We'll go to the next screen. Business workflow. So how does it work starting from creating a pool all the way to issuance? So here we have a visual representation in a chart form where you, the issuer, would first create a new single family pool. And once the pool's created, or when you're creating this, you have two options. You can either delete the draft pool, completely get rid of it from the system, or if you are good with the pool, you can proceed to saving it. We also have business validation in SFPDM. So once you create the pool, you can run business validation, and the system's very intuitive where it tells you and talks to you basically with all, if there are any issues, it'll tell you these are the errors, go ahead and fix these. So you'll go ahead and do that once you save the pool. Here you also have the ability to add loans after filling out the 11705 data. You can add your loans and replace them if applicable, and then go ahead and save and validate too. So when you do the business validation, it not only validates the on the pool level, but also on the loan level and as a pool as a whole. From there, you have the ability to submit the pool. So here we have something called attestation. We're no longer just submitting the pool from SFPDM directly to your custodian for initial certification, but extra process is in place now where you submit this pool to GinnieNET for attestation. And from there, you can recall the pool. If you decide that you want to change something or made a mistake, you can recall it or continue to GinnieNET, where you would go review the 11705 and 11706 documents, acknowledge, and submit that pool through GinnieNET to your document custodian. You also have the ability to take that pool and turn it into a tie pool, transfer at issuance, also formerly known as PIT pool. And from there, you select the buying issuer and submit the pool, and then it will be sent to the document custodian to certify, and then goes over to the buying issuer, who would then accept that pool. Next slide, please. All right. Working in SFPDM. So from here, we'll go over some of the features and instructions on how to access SFPDM. And also we'll go over on how to import a pool using the XML file format. All right, features and benefits of SFPDM. So I'm sure you're all aware, you first log into My GinnieNET with your credentials, and depending on your roles that's assigned to you, say you are a issuer who's an authorized signer, you will land on my dashboard first. After, you will see there are a couple of tabs that's highlighted where one of them is called SFPDM Pools and Loans. We also have SFPDM Maintenance and Report. But most of the time you'll be spending on the Pool and Loan tab, so we're highlighting it here. And to access, all you have to do is just click on the tab and the page will refresh to show you a list of pools. Now, again, note, if you're a new issuer, you won't have any pools in the system. But if you do, they will all appear in a list as you see on the right side of the page. And then we have Skittles, the colorful round circles, and we'll go into more details on those during the demo. Next screen. Okay, searching for a pool. So say you have created many pools and now you need to search for something specific. What do you do? SFPDM now offers the ability to search, and there are a few ways to do this. You have the Skittles, as you saw the colorful circles. If you're to click on them, each circle or each Skittle represents a different status of the pool. So if you were to click on those, the system will filter only pools for those statuses. So one example would be draft. If you have pools that were created and are sitting in draft status, and you click on that draft Skittle, the system will just filter just for that status. We also have some preset filters. Let's see. Yep, the preset filters, such as if you have favorite pools, you can actually select pools that you want to address for a later time, or it's just your favorite pool. You can check those off and then filter it by favorites. You also have past business rule presets here as well. So there are a few you can go over, and system will filter based on that. But say you want to be more specific, you want to get into more detail, then we have something called advanced filter. When you click there, you have many options, and some are you can filter by pool ID, issue date, pool class or pool suffix, statuses, like we talked about with the Skittle, business rules, custodian ID, loan identifier, or mortgage types. So you have multiple options that you can select to filter for something very specific you're looking for. And then once you hit apply filter, below the system will return pools if it meets all the criteria, depending on what filters you're selecting. All right. Now we go over to the pool details screen. Yep, there we go. So when you're going into pooling and you're creating a new pool, on the pool detail page that you see on the screen right now is broken up into many sections. Now, if you're new to this could be very overwhelming as there are many fields that needs to be filled out. But you have the ability to collapse or expand each individual field. So this way you can focus on one section at a time and focus in that section to help you and make it a much easier process creating a pool. And this is also available for not only the pool summary page, but also the loan page as well when you're adding loans and adding data to it. Next, we have something called All Pool tab. Okay, thank you. And this is a little slider window that will slide out from your left on the screen to the right. And this will give you a summary of all the pools, similar to how you see the list of pools on your pool and loan summary page that we saw earlier. The benefit of this is that, say you're in the middle of working on a pool, but you want to see a list or see some specific pool from the summary, instead of you having to go back out of that page in the middle of your work, you could just now open the slider and look at the list of the pools. And again, if there are filters applied, the slider will show pools based on those filters, or you can clear them and it'll just show you the list of all the pools that you have in the system. Next slide. All right, pool import. So if you're new to this, we have a method to importing a pool instead of you having to create pools manually. And if you're used to GinnieNET, we used to use something called a flat file to import pools. But now we're going with the MISMO standard, and we're using something called an XML file. That's an Excel sheet where you have your data sets, and you can modify data for pool and loan and bring these pools into the system. I would like to hand this over to Wade for some additional detail. I know, Wade, you have some more to say on this, so if you don't mind.
Okay.
Wade, you might have accidentally muted again. Oh, God. You should be good now, Wade.
Everybody knows now everybody's used to the flat file in GinnieNET. No more. It's all XML now in the SFPDM space. Of course, that's the MISMO compliance standard now, so we have to get used to it. And GinnieNET has been encouraging users to start planning to modify their existing process to use the new XML file. I know a lot of you might be doing it internally, or you might have also reached out to a vendor so you can get this XML file in and start your process. And right now we're in that period that the 18-month window might also been passed. But at this time, GenMay is still allowing users to export their pools, data, and flat files from GinnieNET. Please know that capability will not remain after the 18-month adoption period. I'm sure you have gotten some APM on that, so take that in mind. GenMay is serious. They want to get you away from the flat file, want to get you away from GinnieNET, want to get you into the MISMO experience using the XML file. And again, users, this might not be your responsibility, but eventually you might have to get that file to import. So make sure the people who are supposed to be building these files for you are aware of these changes. And some of the things that we have said, issuers and servicers should take the following steps to complete any necessary modification. Some of you have done this because you're either doing manual pools now, or you're actually creating XML and importing them into the SFPDM. You want to make sure issuers should identify whether any of their business processes, such as monthly investor reporting, rely on the current flat file. You have to start looking at that. Do you need to change that? So you might need to speak to certain people in your environment. You want to make sure you review the latest PDD implementation guide and additional SFPDM adoption resources on GinnieNET.gov. You want to make sure you're there for any of those meetings that GinnieNET is having on SFPDM. Make sure you're a part of it, so you're caught up. And encourage your IT team. Issuers are encouraged to engage their IT team to begin planning the necessary modification using the new XML file. I hope most of you have actually shared this with your IT team, especially if it's going to be internal. I know most people now might be reaching out to a vendor because there's certain vendors who operate and use the XML file and build that for the users. So you have to be in that frame mind now. It's SFPDM, XML, no more GinnieNET flat file. That's going away, and we have to look forward to the future with the XML and the MISMA standard in the new application SFPDM. Toyid?
Thank you, Wade. That was helpful. All right, so let's continue with the XML file. This screen that you see, again, this is similar to what I spoke to earlier. When you import a pool, you will have access to that pool with the pool detail and the loan detail. And you will have the data after importing that pool with all the information that you put in. But say you want to make modifications or work on this pool further. And again, with that expand and collapse option of each sections, both the pool detail and the loan detail page, you can modify in section at a time, which might help you with your pooling. Let's go over to the next slide. Thank you. Now, how do you import a pool? You have your XML file created either through a vendor or you decided to make that file yourself. Now it's ready. How do we bring this pool into SFPDM? Again, with the pool and loan tab, like I said, where you'll be spending most of your time there, we have a button on the top right of the page, and it's labeled as Add a Pool. What you will do is click on that button, and you should have a pop-up that would appear that will allow you to create a pool manually or give you that option to import. So let's go over to the next slide, which will give us a more detailed picture. Thank you. And like I said, this pop-up will appear, and again, you have the option to create the pool manually or use that XML file that you created. And what you'll do is click on Browse. That'll give you the option to select wherever you saved that XML file. And once you select it, you will have the ability to check off two boxes. Now, what are these two? First one is when you're bringing in a pool, the system does multiple checks before it tells you, hey, your pool is good and you can go in and make modifications or even submit it. So you can check off the box, which will run that pool against GinnieNET business rule. And there's a second checkbox where it says it'll override. So if, for example, you have a pool that you already imported with the same pool number, you decided you're going to make some modifications to the XML file and bring it in again. Remember, you already have this pool in the system with the same pool number. So when you check that override option, it'll delete what's in the system as draft and bring in the new data set that you import. So those are the two checkboxes, and you have those extra validation you can do, and then click upload. And this would give you 2 to 3 portal notifications. First one saying that it is being validated, and you will be notified once it uploads. Second one would be if the pool is imported successfully, it'll give you a notification stating that, or if something went wrong and it failed, it'll also tell you that. And then third, if you check off the validate against GinnieNET business rule, a third notification will tell you if the pool either passed against GinnieNET business rule or if it failed. And you can click on that notification to see more details of what the errors are. And again, on the demonstration, we'll go into more detail. Okay, next slide.
Tell me if I'm going too fast, because I don't drive, so I tend to just jump all over the place. So so Toyid, let's do this, because what we did, we presented a lot of those slides for you, but most of the time we're also going to show you that in the demo, so you kind of get it a little bit better when we do the demonstration. So I just want to go in with Ryan also, if we can go through some of these. We have a poll before we start going into the demo. Can we start a poll, Ryan? Is that possible?
Yes, sir. Wade, I was going to say, do we want to take a quick moment and hit these few questions in the chat, or do we want to save those? I see one from Dina saying, Encompass offers a GinnieNET file. Is this acceptable?
A GinnieNET file meaning is this an XML source from the PDD? Just let us know. It should be, because they're one of the vendors we're working with within that space.
Dina said yes.
They're one of the vendors should be working in that space. So I think that should be okay. But if any other more questions, just let us know on that, Dina.
Perfect. And it looks like you addressed Maria's when she said, just to clarify, no impact to custodians with the adoption of XML format. You said none at this time. Then we had one more from Miss Colleen that says, can you upload multiple pools at one time in an XML file?
I'm going to say yes, but I know Toby can also answer that for me. The answer is yes, because you do a lot of testing, right?
Correct. Yes, you are able to upload multiple pools. Just note that we do have a way to create the XML file, one file that will contain multiple pools with loan. And that's the way you can import multiple pools at one time. It'll all have to be within the XML file.
So Colleen marks, yes, you can. Thank you. So we just want to go into just some questions just before we go back into the presentation, just to make sure people are with us and they're not far apart. Which application will SFPDM be replacing by the end of the year? Oh man, if we haven't been hearing this for the last 18 months, I don't think anybody can even put anything there. And I'll have to find that person, even anybody who even tried to do BRC. I'm even giving away the answer. Yes, of course, you have heard this all along that GinnieNET is going to be sunset, or it's going to be put out there in the pasture, but it's going to take a while. But that's the main goal. So the new application how to do your new pools is in SFPDM. The answer is A, GinnieNET is going away. Thank you. Next question. I think this was something from yesterday. Just want to say from the day before. Select the correct daily pool sweep times. Do we sweep at 3 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Or do we sweep at 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Or do we sweep at 8 a.m. and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time? I think in our first presentation, we had mentioned that, and I think it's going to come back sometime again in today's presentation. Do we sweep at 3 p.m. and 10 p.m. or 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 8 a.m. and 12 noon? And I see majority is doing well. And the answer there is actually B. We do sweep at 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. Anything that has the status of certified, we sweep and we process that day. Anything that has the status of certified at 9 p.m., we sweep and we process the next day. Next question, please. Uh-oh. We're just making it so easy for these people. Pool information will only be available for import-export in SFPDM as flat files, MISMO compliant XML file, or .dat file. What does everyone think? You have read the PDD, you have seen GinnieNET notices, you have heard us talk about it in modernization meeting. The answer is B, MISMO compliant XML file. That's what we'll be using. The flat file is currently used in GinnieNET, and so the answer is B. I think that's it. Thank you very much for your participation. We really appreciate that. We just want to make sure. Oh, there's one more?
I think we have one more, Wade. Sorry.
Oh, wow. In what system should your document custodian certify new pools? Very good question. In which system should your document custodian certify new pools? And there's a toggle war right there between SFPDM and GinnieNET. Remember, we're talking about the document custodian here. We have introduced SFPDM to the issuing community, and I think we still, during our conversation with the issuers and the issuing community, we do mention that the custodian will continue to certify their pools. I'm looking for the top one to change before I finish. Will continue to certify their pools in GinnieNET. There's not a new system available yet for the custodian in the SFPDM space world. That's in the works. But as of right now, your SFPDM pools will still be certified by the custodian in their current environment, which is GinnieNET, not SFPDM. Maybe there'll be SFPDM custodian version in the future, but right now, pools are certified by the custodian in their current environment, which is GinnieNET. Okay, I really appreciate your time and effort in answering those questions. So let's see what's next. And before we start the demo, if you're a GinnieNET expert or you're used to GinnieNET, you have heard us talking about validate business rules and all those things. When you hear the word business rules, just think of you're applying the GenMay edits. So just some of those things you'll hear that maybe are new terms. You might hear a term called recall. In GinnieNET, we're used to deleting a pool from the network. In SFPDM, it's called recall. So some of those terms might be different in terms of what you're used to over the years. So those are things we have to get used to. We kind of set up this in 3 segments. So we want to talk about a little bit when you log in and go about the dashboard. And then our second recording, which is a longer one, longest is 3 of them. We go into the SFPDM processing. So let us start the first recording. And after that, we can talk. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. For today's demonstration, we will go over my dashboard, SFPDM pools and loans, SFPDM maintenance, and reports. As an authorized signer, you will first log into my GinnieNET, and once successfully logged in, you will enter on my dashboard. Here on my dashboard, you will see a banner with latest information that my GinnieNET has to offer, as well as any future planned maintenance announcements will be shown here. Below, we have the approval section. As an authorized signer, you will see a list of pools that are submitted by the data entry to either reject or submit in behalf of the data entry as you are the token holder. Below that, we have tie acceptance, also known as transfer at issuance acceptance. Here are a list of pools that you would accept as the buyer by selecting your custodian and accepting the pool. Below that, we have a list of skittles. Skittles are representations of different statuses a pool is in. Also, please note, if you are a new issuer and have never created a pool before, all these would be blank or empty. In our case, we have different pools and different statuses, such as draft, submitted for initial certification, initially certified, issued, transferred, final certification draft, submitted for final certification, and final certified, along with if there are any type pools, and you have a total count of all the pools in your organization. Below that, we have a list of pools that are awaiting final certifications. Here you have a time frame to when these pool can be final certified. So first we have less than or equal to 30 days. 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days, and any pools that are greater than 90 days. Below that, we have a list of the latest updates in the system as far as pooling goes. So we have the latest import pools that are ready for submission, pools that has errors, pools that were rejected, favorites if you have any, and pools that has passed business validation. Also note you have the ability to add a pool from my dashboard, as well as SFPDM pools and loans page. And we'll get into more details later. Underneath, you have your inbox. Here you will see the latest 5 portal notification messages, along with all other notifications that were sent to you. And you can access them by clicking on View All Messages. Next to it, we have Notes. Here you can write your personal notes if you like. And underneath, we have 2 widgets for Commitment Authority and Pool Number. Here you will get a visual representation of your available commitment, how much commitment were used, as well as pool numbers that are available and pool numbers that were used already. And you can see more details by clicking on View Detail link. From my dashboard, we'll now navigate to SFPDM Maintenance tab. Here you have 3 separate tabs that gives you 3 different informations. First, we have the header information with your document custodian data. Here you'll have a list of all your document custodian that you are using. And also it depends on how the MAMs were set up by you with the 11715 form. Underneath the document custodian, we have the subservicers. If you have any subservicers connected with your organization, you'll see their list below. Also note, for the document custodians, you do have the ability to update their addresses and save. Next, we have master's agreement and ACH information. Here you will have a list of all the accounts that were created for PNI and TNI that you use. And finally, we have the FRB subscriber tab. This is the delivery instruction where you can edit, add, or delete your delivery instructions, which can then be used during pooling, and we'll go into details when we create a pool. And finally, we have reports. As an issuer, you have the ability to generate a list of report that are shown here. And you can generate them either with a PDF or an Excel.
And just to let you know, before we move on to our second recording, that report is something new in it's not, I don't want you to get reports mixed up with what we are used to in GinnieNET. When you say GinnieNET, and when we say generate reports, this is like an ad hoc report. You can go in and print information to deal with your daily processing or your pooling for during the month cycle. So this is just a dashboard, just to give you an idea what everybody's dashboard might look like. It depends on your functional roles. So now you get a chance. You log in to get the dashboard. And now we want to go in and do the second piece of our training, which is actually getting more into SFPDM. Roll the tape.
Is this the right video? Wait, I want to make sure I have the right one. We're doing the longer one, correct?
Yes, Ryan, the longer one. Yes, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
SFPDM pools and loans. Here you can see, similar to my dashboard, we have a list of Skittles with different statuses. And first we have all pools. That gives you the total number of pools that's in your organization. We have draft, submitted for initial certification, initially certified, issued or transferred, final certification draft, submitted for final certification, final certified, and finally tie pools. Below, we have some preset filters that you can click on and filter based on these criteria, or you can enter a pool ID, loan ID, or custodian on the filter section. And in addition, we have advanced filter dropdown. Here you have the ability to filter even further with pool ID, issue date, pool class, pool suffix, status, business rules, custodian ID, loan identifier, and mortgage type. Below that, we have the list of all the pools that has been created in the past with different statuses. And also please note, if you're a new issuer, you might not have any pool created, so this section might be blank for you. In our case, we have a list of pools, and here you have the ability to generate and take further actions depending on the pool status. We have a draft pool here where you can delete. And if you select the pool, you can have some buttons that would appear where you have export pools. You can export the edit report. You have the ability to delete the pool. You can validate the pool against business rule or submit the pool for initial certification. In addition, under the action column, if you click on the Eclipse, it'll open up and you also have the ability to do the same actions and generate the HUD documents. So if we click on the doc, we'll see a list of reports such as 11705, 11706, 11711B, as well as the edit reports. Next, we'll go ahead and create a new pool. And to do this, if you look at the top right of the page, there is a Add a Pool button. We'll go ahead and click on the button. And a pop-up will appear where you can create a pool manually, or you have the ability to import a pool. In our case, we'll import a pool by clicking on the Browse button and selecting our XML file. Once we selected our file, we'll check off the section where we can validate against the business rule. And also we have the ability to override prior XML file submission. So if there's a existing pool with the same pool number and draft status, we can overwrite this. So in our case, we'll check both boxes and then go ahead and click Upload. Once we upload, we'll get a pop-up confirmation that the pool is in progress, and you'll be notified once the pool import is complete. This is important because depending on the size of your pool, it might take few seconds to few minutes, again, depending on the size. As you already saw on the top right of the page, we already got some portal notification pop up. So we'll take a look at that right now. And the first one that came was the notification where it says the upload is being processed and it's in progress. Next, we have the notification for the pool if it was imported successfully or not. And in our case, it was. So we got the message where it says the pool import is successful. Also note, there's a pool number and a link. And if you click on it, it'll take you to the pool detail page. And then finally, the third notification, where it tells you if the pool passed the business validation or not. In our case, it did not. And we'll go ahead and click on the pool number to go into the detail and investigate. Also note, this is a test environment. there are times where the page will take a little bit longer to load than to say in production. All right, so now we're in the pool detail page. Here you have some additional information, starting off with the blue banner where you have your pool number, the status of the pool. In our case, this is draft. Underneath, you have the creator of the pool, who the original creator was and the time and date, as well as who was the last person to update this pool. Next to that, we have our document custodian for this pool. And next to that, we have the account executive. And again, please note, this is a test environment, so it'll be different for your organization. Above this, we have some buttons where we have the ability to export the pool, generate the HUD document, delete the pool. We can save the pool if we make any edits. We can run business validation against this pool and submit the pool for initial certification. And then next to that, we have a refresh button. As we go further down, we have a link that's called Legacy Names. It's a PDF document that lists out the GinnieNET fields as well as the current SFPDM fields, and it references to each other. One good example is pool identifier versus pool number in the legacy system. So we'll go back to the pool detail page and go down a little. And here next to the legacy name, you see we have the ability to collapse or expand all the fields. This is very helpful when pooling, especially if you're creating this manually, where you can focus on a section at a time, because there are many fields and it does get overwhelming. So looking down, we have the header information section. So we'll go ahead and expand and go over the fields. Okay. First item, we have the pool identifier. As you saw on the legacy document, this was also known as pool number in GinnieNET. Here we reference it as pool identifier. Next to that, we have our issue date. The issue date could be current month or 1 month into future. Next to that, we have amortization type, class type, structure type, and the suffix identifier. For today's demonstration purposes, we are using an MSF pool, and that's why we have the multiple issuer and the single family suffix identifier. Next, we have the party section. Here you have the issuer information, so your issuer number and your name of the organization. Next to that, you have your document custodian as party role identifier. And here you have a drop down, and depending on how many custodian you have on profile, you can select and change depending on how many you have. And next to that, you have your subservicers. If you have any, you can select it here. In our case, we'll leave it blank. And next to that, we have the transferee, new issuer, and transfer at pooling ID. This section is used if you want to convert this into a tie pool or a pit pool, as it was referenced in the past. And you can select your buying issuer from the dropdown. For today's demonstration purposes, we'll leave it as no and move on to the general information section. Here you'll see additional fields, starting off with the status information, and the status will update depending on what the status of the pool is. As our pool had some issues, you could see it saying not passed, but we'll come back to this later and see how it changes as we go along. Next to that, we have our submission certification information, where you will enter your security issue date rate percentage. And the 3 additional fields to the right is grayed out, as it is being auto-populated depending on the loan that you have on this pool. And we'll go into those details later. Underneath, we have our View History button. When we click on this, we will see the history of the pool from inception till current. Below that, we have our Date field, where you will enter your trade book entry date and your maturity date. And next to that, you have your pool maturity section, where the period type is month in SFPDM versus GinnieNET, where we used to have it in years. And underneath that, you have the period count. Next to that, you have your pool EIN number. Because we have an MSF pool, this is not required, hence it's grayed out. And next to that, we have the government bond finance program as well as the collateral type. Now, note collateral type is new from our recent enhancement that we had. And the E-note indicator will change depending on the loan or the collateral type we have. So in our case, we have two loans where all the loans has an E-note indicator set to true, which is why you're seeing the E-note collateral type. However, this can change to hybrid commingled, non-paper, or undetermined, again, depending on the type of collateral you have. Next, we have the master's agreement and ACH information section. Here you will enter your PNI and TNI accounts. And as you saw in the maintenance section, depending on the account numbers that you have on file, you can click on the magnifying glass and select if you have more than one. And here you can see the test account has multiple. Next, we'll go over to the certification and agreement section. And here you will have the pool document required indicator, pool document submission indicator, and the document form publisher number identifier. Next, we have the subscriber information section. Here you will have the total subscription amount and number of participants. Underneath that, you have the subscriber account. And here you will enter your original subscription amount, the investor name, the routing number, the institution telegraphic abbreviation, bank account and delivery description, along with an investor ACH receiver sub-account name. Next. Oh, and we can see with the search icon, depending on the subscriber or the delivery instruction that you have set up, you can select one or more if you have it saved under maintenance. And finally, we have pool statistics. Here you will just have the statistics of the pool information auto-populated, and we'll see this in the loan section as well as we go on. So this concludes the pool summary. And just to quickly check, we do have a validation error, and we'll get into the detail once we go over the loan section. Now, next to the pool detail, you can see there's a loan link, and in parentheses, there's a number. The number indicates the amount of loans that we have in the pool. So we'll go ahead and click on loans. And this will take us to the loan summary page. This is similar to the pool and loan summary page that we have. However, this is a little bit unique to loans. And here you can see we have a graph representation of the loan rate range, the loan amount range, the high balance loan with GinnieNET guarantee fee, and the number of buy down loans. Underneath that, we have a list of the loans currently that's in the pool. And right above, we have similar filter options as we saw earlier, where you can type in the loan ID, address, zip code, and other fields. And next to that, again, similar to the pool and loan summary page, we have an advanced filter where you can drill down if needed. And next to that, we have a add a loan button similar to add a pool. Here you can add a loan manually as well as import XML file to import your loan with a similar validation against business rule as well as overriding any existing loan. Now, one thing to note here is when you're importing a pool, the XML file is zipped versus where you are bringing in a loan, which is not. So we'll close the loan section since we already have two loans. We'll go into the loan detail for one of them. And again, because of test environment, it does take a little bit longer. All right. This is, again, very similar to the pool detail page. However, we are in the loan. You can see we have the loan number. And next to the loan number, we have a new feature now that's been added where you can navigate from loan to loan without having to go out of the loan detail page by clicking on either next, previous, first, or last. And next to that, we have our legacy names. This is a similar document to what we saw earlier. However, this is tailored to the loan detail page, and the differences are listed out. And similar to the pool detail page, we also have the ability to collapse or expand all the fields. All right, so the first section we have is the pool info. Again, this is the exact same information we saw on the pool detail page. It's also available in our loan detail page as well. Next, we have the general section. Here, you will have to enter your current interest rate %, your P&I payment amount, your LPI due date, your UPB amount. If this is a mortgage modification indicator, you have the ability to select yes or no. Next, you have your MOM record indicator. Next to that, you have reperforming loan indicator and E-note indicator. So as we saw earlier on the pool detail page, your collateral type is dependent on the indicator you select on your loan. In our case, our loan is a true E-note loan. So we have that set to true. However, you can select blank or false. And just to quickly touch up on the reperforming section, MSF pools are now allowed to have reperforming loan and can be commingled. So this is why you have the reperforming loan indicator for this pool type. Next, we have identifiers. So here you have your pool issuer loan identifier. And next to that, you'll see you have your agency case identifier. Underneath, we have other information. Here you'll select your mortgage type, your mortgage program type, your originator type. If this is a buy-down funding indicator, you can select true or false, your loan purpose type, your refinance cash out determination type, and your loan refinance purpose type. Below that, we have our premium and guarantee. So here you can enter your annual premium amount, your annual premium %, your upfront premium amount, as well as your upfront premium %. Below, we have the property detail. And here you can enter your down payment information, your appraised value, and your effective date. Below that, you will enter your property address with your address line, your city name, your state code, as well as your postal code. Below that, we have other information. Here you will enter your unit count, your LTV ratio %, your construction method type. Next to that, you have your construction method type and other description, and your total debt to income expense ratio. Below that, we have combined LTV ratio %, your property purchase price amount, and if you have total monthly income amount, you will enter it there. Below that, we have the borrower info section. Here you can set your primary to be an individual borrower type or a legal entity borrower type. Next to that, you will enter the last name, the first name, and the middle name. And under that, we have suffix type, the credit score, as well as social security. Now note, for security purposes, we do have this hidden, but can be seen by clicking on the eye icon or hovering over it. And in addition, if you have a secondary borrower, you can add that information. In our case, we do not, so we'll leave that blank. And finally, your closing section. Okay. Here you have your loan closing information where you will enter your maturity date, your period count. And again, the period count is by month and not year, like how GinnieNET had it. and your note amount. And underneath, we have the note date and the scheduled first payment date. And again, note, any fields that has the asterisk are a required field, and you must enter data. Okay, so this concludes the summary of the loan detail page. So now, if you recall, we did have an issue and an error message on this pool. So we'll go back to the pool detail page and take a look at what the issue is and try to see how we can address it and fix it. Now, please note, SFPDM is very intuitive. It will validate all the fields, and if there are any issues, it'll give you the exact problem with the description. So here we have the validation error section highlighted in red, and our error message says that sum of all original subscription amount for all investors must be equal to current principal balance amount. So here we'll go ahead and take a look at the principal amount and go ahead and update the fields. So to fix this, we'll copy this amount, go down to our original subscription amount, and we can see that there's a difference. So we'll go ahead and update the field and save the pool. And once it saves, you'll get a successful pop-up that says that your data has been saved. And go ahead and click OK. And let's scroll back to the top. And here we'll go ahead and validate this pool against the business rule and make sure that the error that we saw earlier is no longer visible. So again, we'll go ahead and click validate, and it'll give us a pop-up confirmation message that the pool has been submitted to run against business rule. And already you can see we got a portal notification that says that the business rule validation successfully completed and that our pool, the validation passed. So we can go ahead and click on the pool number. That will refresh our page. And we should see that the highlighted error message that we saw earlier in red is no longer there. And it's gone. And then again, back to the status info that we saw earlier, we can see because the pool passed business rule, our validation status also updated to passed. Next, we'll go ahead and generate the HUD document by clicking on Docs and clicking on the 11705 and 11706 to generate the two reports. So this is our 11705 form. And we'll go ahead and do the same for the 11706. All right. So now that we've successfully generated the two documents, our next step as the pool passed validation is to go ahead and submit the pool for attestation. So we'll go ahead and click submit. And you'll get a pop-up message with the attestation language that you will review. And if you agree, you will see there's a I agree and submit button. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And you'll get a pop-up confirmation where it says we received your request to submit this pool for initial certification. We'll process your request and notify you with a portal notification of the outcome. Please check and keep an eye out. One thing to note, when the pool is submitted to GinnieNET for attestation, it might take up to 5 minutes to show in GinnieNET. And as we can see on the top, the pool is currently locked for translation to GinnieNET for initial certification. So we'll go ahead and wait for the portal notification. And look at that. As soon as I said that, the notification came, and the notification says that the pool successfully submitted. Next, we'll go to GinnieNET to view the pool and attest the pool. And to do this, we'll go to the SFPDM pool and loan summary page. And here you can see there is a link on the right side of the page where it says Attest Pool and GinnieNET. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And this will take us to GinnieNET. Here we'll go ahead and click Close. And you can see we have a list of pools that were submitted earlier for attestation and submission for initial certification. So how do we attest? We have two options. We can either click on the HUD 11705 or HUD 11706 link for each pool. So for demonstration purposes, we'll click on HUD 11705 for the first pool on the list. And this generates the GinnieNET HUD form 11705. Now that we clicked on the link, and if we go back, you can see that the link for the 11705, there's a viewed green message next to it. So for us to attest a pool, we need to do the same for the 11706 review. And if we go back, again, we'll see that it's updated with the viewed logo. So to submit this pool, we can check off the box, and you can see that the bottom section where it says proceed to confirm attestation is now available for us to click. Another way to view the HUD forms is to select the pools that are on the list that hasn't been viewed yet. So we'll unselect the viewed pool and select only those that were not viewed. So our CSF, MSF, and XSF pool. And here you can see that there's a button that says View Selected. When we click this, this will generate the HUD 11705 and 11706 together for all the pools that were selected. All right, so here we go. And also you can see the FTN number is also updated on these forms. So if we go back to the attestation page, you can see now all the pools that we selected are now updated with the viewed status. And like I mentioned earlier, pools that are submitted for attestation does take a few minutes to show up on this page. And you can see while we were viewing the existing pool, the current pool that we validated and submitted are now seen in this page. So next step is for the pools that we already viewed the forms. We'll go ahead and click on proceed to confirm attestation. Here again, you will get the adoption and release of HUD 11705 and 11706 for initial certification language. You will review this and confirm attestation of HUD forms. So let's go ahead and click that. And this will take us to our next authentication page where we will enter our MyGinnieMay ID and password. Once it's confirmed, it'll take us to the RSA Secure ID passcode page where you will enter your RSA token and click OK. And once it's successful, you will see the attest successful message with the transmission number, date, and time. And we get a portal notification, as you see here, where it says that the pool were submitted to Document Custodian for initial certification. And we'll also go ahead and take the pool that were submitted for initial certification and generate the HUD form 11705 and 11706. And you can see the status of the pool updated to submitted for initial certification. Also note, you do have the ability to recall the pool. So here we'll go ahead and generate the 11705. And here, if you zoom in, you can see the file transmission number is now populated, whereas before it was blank. And we'll go ahead and do the same for the 11706. Same thing here. You see you have the file transmission number now populated.
Wow. That's a lot of information, Toid. Much appreciated. So that's our second video. Toid, there's a question that someone is asking and I don't know the answer. And I think that this was something that came up during, or can we clear the old notification? Is that possible? I know that we had talked about that. Where are we with that?
The portal notification. So that pop-up message that you see on the top right of the page once a notification is sent, when you click on it, it should clear out, because on the envelope icon where you see these messages, they only show the latest new messages. So if you click on it, it'll clear out. Or if you remember on the dashboard, there was a notification section and there was a button that said View All. You can click there, and there you will see all those unread and read messages. And from there, you can also delete it as well and clear them out. Does that answer the question?
That's the start. We'll see what happens if. So I can see them all, but only could clear and delete one at a time. Toid, that's what Susan is saying.
Okay.
So delete.
Yeah, you.
So you only can delete them one at a time.
I believe so. I can get back if there is an option to select multiple, but they definitely can be deleted and cleared out.
Okay, Susan, let us check a little bit further, and then we'll have an answer for you offline. If you are good with that, just let us know. And I just want to mention something before we go on to the last recording, which is like less than 5 minutes. You notice when Toid was going through the screens, in the GinnieNET space, we had 11.7, 11b, and the subscriber information all in different screens. Now, because of the SFPDM experience, all those different fields now become a part of the 11.705. So it's make your just doing your pool in a little bit easier. You don't have to come in and out, in and out. So the 11.7, 11b form is now a part of that first 11th, the pool detail, and also your subscriber information is also on that pool detail screen. So now if you're a manual entry person, you don't have to go in and out of screen. So I thought that was a little bit intuitive. The users will enjoy doing that if they have to do manual entry. So that is something I wanted to mention. And also the first, previous, next, and last on the loan detail, that was because of actually users who came on early realized that, oh, we don't have that. We have it on GinnieNET. It does make sense for us to go to the next loan, or we didn't want to have to get out and come back in and select the loan. So we listened, GinnieNET listened and said, let us get this in. So we got that in, the first, the previous, the next, and the last on the loan detail screen to help you a little bit more when you're navigating through the pools. Instead of going out, you can just click on the next button and go straight to the next loan. Okay, we have one more demo that we need to show. Ryan, can you queue it up first so we can just go through all of these?
On this demo, today we'll go over the CRG, or reperforming GinnieNET pool type, as well as CET, extended term pool type. First, we'll go over the CRG pool by searching a CRG pool number and then clicking on the pool ID. Once we're in the pool detail page, what makes CRG unique is its class type, which is GinnieNET 2, structure type, which is single issuer, and suffix identifier, the reperforming GinnieNET RG pool type. Another thing to note, this pool does allow you to enter the EIN number. And finally, because this is a reperforming GinnieNET pool, we have a unique identifier on the loan. So to look at that, we'll go into the loan detail page and click on a loan. And if we scroll down, we can see that there is a reperforming loan indicator and it's set to true. A few things to note for CRG pool, that you must have a minimum of 3 loans and the pool amount should equal to a minimum of 1 million. Next, we'll look at CET pool by going back out to the Pool on Loan tab and searching for a CET pool or extended term. While we're searching for this pool, please note that the term of this pool must be greater or equal to 361 months, but not more than 480 months from the pool issuance date. So here we searched for a CET pool, and we'll go ahead and click on the pool ID. And if we scroll down, we can see that it's a GinnieNET 2 class type. Structure type is single issuer. And then the suffix identifier, which is extended term loan collateral, ET. One other item that makes this unique is the pool maturity date. And we can see that this pool is allowed to have a maximum of 480 months. And also note this pool allows you to enter a EIN number.
Thank you. We tried to get as much as possible in these 3 videos. I know we did not cover every single aspects of your pool processing, but we wanted to do through this video just to introduce you to some of the main things that we think you're going to come up across. Of course, there's always going to be issues. There's going to be issues importing your XML file. So GenMed asks most of the time when you do, there's an issue, reach out to Ask GinnieNET. And then through that, your issue will be distributed to the appropriate team so they can tackle it and get back to you on some resolution there. So it's SFPDM training today, but of course there's a lot of things you as users will have to try and pick up on your own, and of course share them with us and get to us in terms of how things are going. But we wanted to do the first introduction if it's new to you, just to give you an idea what needs to be done and how do you go about setting up your pool. I noticed we did import. There's also a group of manual entry people out there, so you can actually go through it. So that's how we set it up that day. We imported the pool, but Toeed went to the screen differently just to give you an idea if you have to do the manual import. And one more thing, I saw some people mention about Skittles and they make them hungry. I always say this because, we have to make our job fun. So we introduced Skittles. There's another part I see called Party. So I'm just looking down the screen. Am I going to see wine? Am I going to see liquor? But I didn't see those sections there. But I saw Skittles, I saw party. So we want to make sure you're enjoying your experience using SFPDM. It's now 11:25. And can we break for 5 minutes? I know I'm asking a lot of people, but you have a lot of stuff to do. Can we just break for 5 minutes and come back at 11:30 so we can try and finish out the process? There's some things we might just have to go through quickly because some of these things people already know, but can we come back at 11:30 and start the next session? I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for checking back in with us. We are shorter time, but I just want to try and cover some more things in the SFPDM space, since that's what this is all about. I hope you were able to get some sense out of the demo, and it will also make your work life a little bit easier when you start getting more into that process. Business rules. We have heard, we're so used to apply GenMay edits, and now GenMay is telling me that I have to learn a new term, business rules. So that's the new term now. When you apply the GenMay edits, it means business rules. So you just want to put those things together. Business rules must be passed before a pool can be posted to the network. Basically the same thing in the current setup in GinnieNet if you're using this. This function checks the pools and mortgage data against GenMay MBS guide requirements, because that's how we program according to what GenMay policies are. We make sure we put those in the edits. So when you run them, if everything is okay, you're good, it passed. But if there's a hiccup somewhere, we're supposed to be pushing out something to you, hey, in red, this must be corrected. So that's why. If there are errors, individual records must be corrected and the business rule must be applied again. A pool is not available for transmission to the network until it passes all business rules. Basically the same logic like we have in GinnieNet. If the pool doesn't show pass, it's not available to be submitted. And of course, we have introduced new status to you. We have draft. That's a new status to you. You never had that before in the old space that you're currently enrolling in. Just some tips for SFPDM. Some of these you should know. Issuers should keep the following information in mind when preparing for transition to SFPDM. Prior to adding subscriber account on pool details screen, and add a subscriber record in SFPDM maintenance tab, because we are transitioning to SFPDM, but most of the information is not coming onto your system, only your MAM's information. Your master agreement information is going to populate, but your delivery instructions, you'll have to go in and create that again. I know that's a pain point right now with a lot of users making sure that it's correct, and the Fed delivery desk is making some correction, but we're hoping that we can try with maybe a QRC so everybody gets an understanding of how to set up your subscriber. So we're working on that piece. So you have to add your delivery instruction in SFPDM once you log in and you're ready to go. Your master agreement information will be there. Your PNI, TNI, your subscriber information, your custodian, that will be there. Pool issued for immediate transfer, PIT or transfer to issuance tie. If you do your PIT pools in SFPDM, they have to be accepted in SFPDM. If you just like in your current space, if you do your PIT pools or your tie pool in GinnieNet, they only can be accepted in GinnieNet. Just we want you to be aware of that. Issuers do not have to begin pooling in SFPDM to accept a transfer pool in SFPDM. So that has to be the connection. SFPDM to SFPDM, GinnieNet to GinnieNet, if that's in your space right now. And separation of duties. Authorized signer can view the pool created by the data entry users prior to submitting to the document custodian to be certified. The pool created by the data entry user are now editable by the authorized signer at any stage, including draft. Similarly, the pool created by the authorized signer are also now editable by the data entry user. The reason why we put this up here, because initially when we started, there were some very strict separation of duties. If you're a data entry, the authorized signer couldn't go in and edit your work, and we find out was a little bit cumbersome. People, it wasn't the right workflow for people how they work in their office. So we listened, and GinnieNET decided we should change this. Let it be a little bit more intuitive to the users, so they can come on board and start using the system. So if you as a data entry setup, your authorized signer person can go in and edit that pool and vice versa. So I think that's a cool thing. We put it basically like it works in the GinnieNET space. Some more tip, of course, attestation. We show that these pools have to now be attested in GinnieNET, the SFPDM pools. Pool attestation will occur through GinnieNET. Both 11705 and 1106 form required to view an attestation to submit pool in an initial certification. The attestation workflow described in the user manual section. Check that out. That's the submit for attestation and initial certification in our user manual. The 11705 and 1106 form are available in both SFPDM and GinnieNET. Form generated in either system can be considered the document of record during the 18-month adoption period. That's during this period that we're going through now. Your document custodian are not impacted. Someone had asked that question earlier by the transition of SFPDM, and they will continue to certify the pools through GinnieNET. So right now, you're using SFPDM, but the document custodian is still doing their certification in the GinnieNET space. And of course, so many times this come about. People ask us this all the time. Daily pool sweep remain at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each business day. And one more thing we have here about this goes mostly to the manual issuers. If you're doing a manual pool, there's a section there that's going to ask you for us, the position amount, the piece that you're going to be issued, because the system is looking for something there. We're saying when you're setting up your pool, just go in and make it 1,000, put in a minimum value there is $1,000. And when you finish setting up all your pool information and all your loans are in, you're going to need to go back and adjust that $1,000 to the how you're going to issue that pool and how many loans are in that pool and the pool OAA. So that's just subscriber piece when you're doing it manually. We're saying put in 1,000 so you can move along to the next field, and the data will be able to save. But you're going to need to go back and put in the right subscriber amount when the pool is completely set up on SFPDM. This again, just talk about the legacy names. I know it's actually, when I look through it, I'm like, oh, I don't know this on GinnieNET. That's new to me. Yeah, because the MISMO standard has a lot more naming conventions and to what we're used to in GinnieNET. So you just have to get used to those names, especially on the different fields. When we went through them, there's some things that we don't even have on GinnieNET, but because of the MISMO standard, they're asking for more information. And so to build your pool, you have to make sure you're putting in the right information. So you need to understand what those fields are. So we're just trying to do a comparison. What's in GinnieNET, what's not in GinnieNET, what's the name in GinnieNET, and if we can interpret that to it's on the SFPDM side. So look at those two documents. We have one, they're all on the system itself. You have one on the pool detail screen, and you also have one on the loan detail. So just for comparison, if you want to keep it there, if you want to print it and or save it in another PDF on another space outside of SFPDM, so you have that, so you can make reference. Just some FAQ here, and I think everybody should know these things. My pool was issued, and I need to pull it back. Who do I contact? Of course, please contact your GinnieNET account for guidance. That's a little bit different now. That's not issued. So if you want to pull back that pool, that means you want to collapse the pool, that you'll need to speak to your account executive on what's the best way. Sometimes they might encourage you not to do that, make the changes doing whichever works best for you. But if the pool is issued, there's nothing on our end, BNY Mellon end, that we can do at this time, because we have actually sent the pool off to the Fed for delivery. So we cannot make any changes after the pool has been issued. I need to adjust my delivery instructions and my pool was submitted/certified. Please call GinnieNET customer service at that number or email us at genmay1@bnymellon.com. If that pool has not been delivered to the Fed, we're going to instruct you to send the information to us with the pool number, your new delivery instructions, and when you want that pool to be delivered. Those we can make if the pool is still with us and we have not sent it off to the Fed. But if the pool has gone on to the Fed, we won't be able to change your delivery instructions. It's a possibility that pool might be decayed. So when we send off the instructions to the Fed might send it back and say, don't know. And then we're going to get in touch with you and said, Mary, this came back from the Fed. And they said, oh, yes, thank you. Now I can make the change. And you can supply us with that new delivery instruction, and we can also make a delivery. And those are things like when you're setting that up, make sure the other party, here the word party comes up here again. Yeah, the other party on the other side, like the investors who you're selling that to, they'll get that securities to, they are aware that it's coming. Because if you said it's coming on the 5th of July, I'm just using a day, and they get it on, and the 5th of July, nothing came on, they get it on the 4th, they could reject that pool and say, don't know, because your agreement is on the 5th. So make sure we set that up, those timelines with whoever we're getting the securities to, and make sure they match in terms of how you're setting up your pools on your end, and make sure the custodian does have enough time to do their due diligence and meet that ready date that you have already set out there. So those things are very important. Again, check out the cutoff dates on the pool on the pool dates calendar out there on the GinnieNET website. That might give you some insight. When is the last time I can do my multiple pools? And that's very important. Multiple pools are cut off 6 days before the end of the month. So you want to make sure when is the last day you can do this, because if you try to do it on the day that after cutoff, that pool is not going to be issued for that month. So check those things. Check if you're doing an X pools. Find out when is the last day you can submit the pool to your custodian for certification. Same thing for C pools. Check the calendar. And of course, if you're still not clear, don't hesitate to call us at the 800 number. You can send stuff to Ask GinnieNET, and they'll distribute if they don't answer, they'll send it to the right people, and we'll get that answer for you. Or you can send us an email at genmay1@bnymellon.com, so we can provide those answers for you. So use all those tools that you have. Even if you want to cry to us sometime, we listen, because sometimes things can become overwhelming. I'm putting this in, it's not working. Why is this not working? Call us and let us see if we can try and get that answer for you. Sometimes it might take us a while because we have to do our due diligence, do some research, maybe get with the tech people to try and figure out what's going on. But utilize us, utilize the GinnieNET MBS guide, utilize your account executive if you need guidance on policies. Don't forget that. If you need how to work the system now, that you utilize my team at the 1-833 GinnieNET help. I know people have talked to Pamela Archer, Sean, Erica, and those people to guide them throughout the day. So use us still as part of this SFPDM process. We're not breaking again. What I had here is just, I might not end up going through all of this stuff, but initial certification, request for release, final certification, and knowledge check. Because I want to give us enough time to ask any more questions and also get to your polls. What I just have here on slide is in just what the custodian, just give an idea what the custodian doing in their shop. So these are what these slides are actually kind of showing. The custodian, you submit a pool, the custodian get notification that there's a pool out there. They go out there, they see the pool, they review the pool, supposed to be checking the pool with the data they have on that pool physically. If everything is okay, boom, they certify. If they find something incorrect, they have the ability to reject your pool. Just remember that. They can reject it, and once the pool is rejected, you can go back in, make your changes. If you decide that, I really don't want to send this anymore via SFPDM, I'm going to delete the pool and make it, and wait until next month before I do it. You go in and you can do a recall, and then you can do a delete on that pool, and you have the information straight away from your system. Or one thing we did not mention is the pool identifier now is linked up with your issuer number. So at no time, in GinnieNET, sometimes you can go in and make up your pool numbers. You cannot do that in SFPDM. It has to be the pool number that you request through RPN. So and if you do put in an incorrect pool number, you'll see the system right there and then tell you in red that pool number does not match. So that's an upfront edit that we didn't have in GinnieNET. We used to have that in the back end, and you used to get a call saying, this pool number does not belong to your issuer. You have to delete the pool and resend it. So right up front now, when you're doing a manual pool or when you're doing an import, you're going to pick that up right up front. So you don't have to wait until after the pool has been certified for us to get in touch with you on that. So this screen just kind of give you an idea what the custodian does in their shop. They go in there, retrieve, certify the pool, and then it goes to the same stage that we talked about on Monday. We sweep at 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. We run the GenMay edits again. We get the pool released. We prepare the file to the Fed, and then the information is stored there on the GenMay system. And this is just some screens on the custodian itself, what they do on their end. I just wanted to bring that in on the custodian, on the issuer side. Then we have final certification. Once the new pool is issued, the issuer is required to perform a final certification, which must be completed no later than 12 months after the issue date or related securities. So final certs 12 months after issuance. Then you have recertification. If there is an issuer portfolio transfer or document custodian transfer, the issuer of record is required to submit a recertification of all affected pools 12 months from the effective transfer date to GinnieNET. All certification are on a pool level in order to be submitted via GinnieNET. So certain things are still done in GinnieNET certification. If you issue pools in SFPDM, the final certification is now done in the SFPDM space on the issuer side. So you don't have to go into GinnieNET and retrieve the pool for final certs. If it's an SFPDM pool, final certification is now done in the SFPDM space. But the custodian still uses GinnieNET to do their due diligence in terms of certification. And this just gives you what happens in the final certification and recertification process flow. So I'm not going to go through this. It's a part of the presentation. So if you can take a look at it, if this applies to you, if you have any question or so, you can always reach out to the team. And this is pool retrieval for final certification. And this now is going to go away in your space if you're using SFPDM. But if you still have your GinnieNET pools to final certified, this is what you'll still do. But if it's SFPDM, it's a little bit different. You don't have to do it via GinnieNET. Now you're going to do your final certification piece Ryan, can we just skip this last poll just for time?
Yes, sir, that sounds good.
We won't do the poll. We just want to find out if there's, I know I did rush that last part. I'm so sorry, because we kind of did the videos in a way so we can try and give you as much information as possible in this 2 hours. I know you're going to go back, and the good thing about it, you can actually use this recording and go through the stuff again with Tawheed. Is there any questions, any concerns? Did we hit the head? Did we hit it out of the park? Was this useful to you? Anybody from GinnieNET, any of the GinnieNET AEs have anything they want to add to our session today?
I believe, Wade, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we're going to dial up Mr. Ernest to go over the SFPDM adoption timeline and a couple other.
Okay,
right before we jump into questions.
Sure.
So while
Ernest?
we'll gather some questions, and Ernest, are you able to come off mute?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Ernest. Let me pull up this document. Thank you.
Shoot your shot, Ernest. It's all yours.
Okay, thanks, Wade.
Are you guys able to see the document?
I'm not able to see on my end.
It's just a gray bluish screen at the moment.
One moment, please. Let me upload it again then.
It is now visible.
Okay, so good morning, I guess, everyone. Hope you guys are having a good one. So here we are. So here we have the SFPDM adoption timeline, just which notes some important milestones from the beginning of the 18-month transition to SFPDM and the end of the transition period, as you can see here noted in December of this year. So I'll just go over some of our key milestones over the past year, as well as some in the near future. So just kind of briefly starting left to right, just want to point out that it was back in January of 2022 that APM was released to start off this transition to SFPDM and MISMO compliant PDD. And then shortly thereafter, in April of 2022, all single family and manufacturing housing issuers were given access to SFPDM to begin delivering pools into the new application. So those first two kind of grayed out spots were just to kind of notate the beginning of the transition period, and also to that the rollout of SFPDM to all issuers to begin delivering at that point. But kind of fast forwarding to this year, back in February, there were some minor updates made to the PDD, which were released at the beginning of February. And the PDD specification 3.0 release was intended to align SFPDM with the new GinnieNET programs, which include reperforming, extended term, and digital collateral products, as well as providing some additional clarity to some of the data elements. And as you can see here, roughly a month after the specs were released, the new enhancements were released in SFPDM and the VTT to, again, align on those new products that were introduced or released in a sense, and, and some other minor user enhancements. And at this point, this allowed issuers to begin delivering those files built to the 3.0 PDD version through both applications. And just kind of continuing on, just a couple weeks ago at the end of May, APM was released that announced the required SFPDM implementation and GinnieNET cutover dates to the issuer community. I believe we'll touch on the APM a little bit more later on, but basically here, just noting that the APM announced those specific milestones that are captured here also too on the this timeline. The next two milestones are called out more explicitly as stated in the APM, but here just kind of general sense of what is captured in both. So the July 31st milestone is the required date for issuers to be pooling in SFPDM or testing their own PDD in the VTT by July 31st. And then this last milestone here is the sunset date for GinnieNET, where effective as of December 1st, SFPDM will be the only application available for single family and manufactured housing pooling. But yeah, in a nutshell, I know it was a quick run through, but basically just wanted to capture some of the high level milestones in the transition to SFPDM, those in 2022, our most recent ones, and those in the near future.
Excellent. Thank you, Ernest. I'm pulling up the next document right now.
Okay. All right, so here, what we have shared is the APM that was released back on May 31st, a couple weeks ago, and it announced GinnieNET's requirement for SFPDM pooling and noted the date of the GinnieNET cutover, as I touched on previously. And just one thing to note outside of the requirement, it's basically that issuers are expected to either be pooling an SFPDM or testing their own PDD in the VTT by the July 31st date to remain compliant in GinnieNET single family and manufactured housing programs. Just one thing to note though, here as it's stated in the APM, that manual entry issuers, they're required to start delivering their pools as of July 31st, given that the PDD development is not a requirement for this delivery method. And thus there are really no inhibitors as it relates to their transition to SFPDM. So that's just something I just want to call out there that's noted in APM, that manual entry issuers are required to start delivering by July 31st, given testing is not something that they should be concerned about. And then again, within the APM here, calling out the December 1st cutover for GinnieNET, where SFPDM will be the only application available for pooling, and provides those issuers that meet the requirement of the July 31st testing in the VTT some time to continue to develop their files and test and not interrupt business operations so drastically, to allow them some time to meet that December 1st cutover, where GinnieNET, I guess, in quote unquote, ceases to exist for these pooling functions. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much captures the APM, calling out the July 31st date, the December 1st cutover, and then also to makes mention of an MBS guide that's forthcoming, but that will be released in APM later this year.
Thank you, sir. One more document coming your way.
Okay. Okay, so here's the modernization bulletin that was released along with the APM, and it speaks to some of the information previously noted in the APM. First paragraph kind of touches on those two milestone dates, the July 31st testing requirement, and then also to the December 1st note that, pooling functions will cease to exist in SFPDM. Next, it goes on to make mention of the specifications that are supported in both SFPDM and the VTT from now throughout the GinnieNET cutover, and thereafter into a major PDD release, as offered up by GinnieNET. Basically 2.0 and 3.0 are able to be utilized by issuers during this time period. One thing to note though, as it relates to the versioning of the PDD, that issuers that plan to submit the repo forming, extended term, and digital collateral pools must transition to version 3.0 by December 1st, that GinnieNET cut over to continue delivering those products to GinnieNET. But on the flip side, if an issuer does not plan to deliver those products, it either has the option to convert to the latest and greatest 3.0 version, or just continue utilizing 2.0 version of the PDD, as both are still supported. And down here we have a description of some of the milestones that we previously touched on. Also, below that, we have a pictorial visual of the available applications, and also the versioning of the PDD. And you can see that they're supported throughout as well. And then lastly, dropping below, we have some resources that you guys can access, and some contact information for any questions or inquiries to the group here. But definitely would suggest taking some time to review the APM and the modernization bulletin when you have some free time to get a better grasp of some of the information housed in both files.
All right.
That is it.
Yeah, that should be it from Ernest. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I will hand it back to Wade and just see if we have any questions that need to be addressed. I don't see any in the chat, but we can give a few moments to see if we have anything.
Yeah, I don't see any myself. But all I have to say, nobody can call me on my line and say, I did not know about SFPDM. Man, there's a lot of information out there. So we're GinnieNET wants to make sure everybody gets this, understand that it's coming, and you need to be prepared. There's so much stuff on SFPDM. So it might be challenging for some people, but might as well start. The single family manual users, it might be much easier for them to just go in and enter the data instead of waiting on an XML file to be created. But the information is out there. GenMay is really depending on everybody to get going and get started in reference to this. There's a question from Jim Mull. How long will the VTT be available for PDD testing? I think, Jim, the VTT will be there. It's because anytime you develop your XML, you can actually do the testing. So it's there. So it's a part of the functional roles now in the old SFPDM space or my GinnieNET space. So it will be there to do your testing, sir. We will not be able to test until the fourth quarter. So what I'll suggest you get with your AE or get to the appropriate people in that space so you can give your reasons for this, and then so GenMay can be aware of what you're experiencing, sir. Listen, Daniel is trying, and James are trying to get something. So what, Ryan, is it that the only thing you have now is a poll?
Yes, sir.
And I just wanted to ask if there's any GinnieNET account executive on the line. Do they have anything they just want to say while we do our wrap up?
Hey, Wade, as Bill Dwyer, I kind of kicked things off, but no, enough on this side. As always, did a great job.
Oh, thank you, sir. James, for pools submitted through SFPDM, how long after the 12-1 cutoff will pool data continue to be available for export from? James, I think it will be around for a while. GenMay hasn't said anything yet, but it should be there for a bit. No, it's not new. It's actually in GinnieNET. Maybe it's on the 11705 screen. Build a bond finance. It's there on the screen. It was in GinnieNET. Maybe you just didn't do bond type. That's why you're not aware of it. But it's there in the GinnieNET screen also. It's not new.